Algebra 1 9.6 is using quadratic formula. So you've dealt with ways to solve using graphing, you've dealt with solving using the square root. Now you're going to solve using quadratic equations. So actually, anytime you have the equation ax squared plus bx plus c, and it's set to 0, okay, then I can plug it into this equation and it'll solve it every time. So let's start with the first one. My a is going to be 1, my b is 5, and my c is -6. And I'm going to plug it to this equation right here. So x equals -5 plus or minus, and this means I'm going to have two answers. It's going to be plus everything and then minus everything. The square root of 5 squared minus 4 times 1 times -6. Okay? So x equals -5 plus or minus the square root of, this is supposed to be divided by 2 times a, which is 1. So once I have that set up, then I'm going to solve. Okay? So -5 plus or minus, I'm going to start by solving the radical first before I worry about anything on the outside. So 25, -4 times -6 is positive 24 times 1, so plus 24 over 2 times 1, which is 2. So -5 plus or minus 25 plus 24 is 49 over 2. So this is -5 plus or minus 7 over 2. So I have two answers. Okay? My first one is -5 plus 7 over 2. Okay, the plus. And then -5 minus 7 over 2. So -5 plus 7 is 2 over 2, which gives me 1. -5 minus 7 is -12 over 2, which is -6. So just like I did with parabolas and the two answers, I also have my two answers here. Okay? Let's try it again. But this time the problem being is that this is not equal to 0. So that's easily fixed. All I have to do is bring everything to one side of the equal sign. So I have -3x squared plus x, and this 5, I'm going to add 5 to both sides. This makes it plus 5, but then -5 plus 5 gives me 0. Then I have the same thing that I have here. My a is -3, my b is 1, and my c is 5. Okay? I'll plug it in to this equation. X equals -b, so -1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared minus 4 times a, which is -3, times c, which is 5, all over 2 times a, which is -3. So I have -1 plus or minus, remember I'm focusing on the square root first, 1 squared, which is 1, -4 times -3 is -12, positive 12 times 5 is 60, over 2 times -3 is -6. Okay, so I end up with -1 plus or minus the square root of 67 over 6. Now, the problem here, okay, -6. The problem here is root 67 is not a perfect square, so I'm going to be having a decimal. So -1 plus or minus square root of 67, plus square root of 67 over -6, and I also have -1 minus the square root of 67 over -6. Well, the square root of, let's bring out my calculator. So, -1 minus the square root of 67 is -9.185 over -6. The negatives cancel out. and I end up with 1.53 is my first answer. And then my next one is -1 minus 67 square root. Oh, I did something wrong. -1 plus 67. Okay, sorry. This is supposed to be 7. And I divide that by 6. This is 1.19. And this one is 1 negative minus 67 square root, which is negative 9.185 over negative 6, which gives me negative 1.53. So these ones are whole numbers, but I also can end up getting decimals if my square root is not a perfect square. Alright? So go ahead and write these down and try page 534, number 14. 534, number 14, and I will see you in class.